Do you currently have that feeling like something's just not right with your job, but you're also not sure if it's the right time to leave? Maybe you keep pushing through. Maybe that's a question you've asked yourself for a long time now. But what if those are the things that are actually keeping you stuck and unhappy? In this video, I'm going to break down 7 undeniable signs it's time to quit your job before it's too late. And I'll tell you now, if you relate to more than one of these, then this might be the wake-up call you've been waiting for. And I'm not just going to leave you guys hanging. If you work out that it is time to leave your job based on the 7 undeniable signs, we're going to discuss what then. What do you actually do then if you decide, okay, this is it, it's time? As someone who quit her corporate job after 6 years of working as a lawyer only 12 months ago, these are all questions and a process that I have gone through myself very, very recently. So I want to share all of that with you today and guide you and let you know you're not alone. And there are very practical steps you can put in place to change your working situation. So let's get into it. The first sign that it's time to leave your job is that you are staying for something that is compromising something more important to you. So a very brief example is maybe you're staying because the money's good. Maybe you're staying because there have been promises that have been made that would really elevate your career. But what are you compromising, right? And that could be your relationship with your partner. It could be time with your friends. It could be spending time on your health. Now, if you answer yes to this question, then this is a sign it's time to change your job. If it's true for you that your relationships and your health are more important to you than money or the career opportunities that you are staying for, then it's time to leave. Because if we think about it like a scale, right? What we're working towards needs to be of more value to us than what we are compromising. Because often we do make compromises, especially when we're trying to push ourselves in different roles, right? But if your answer is that the things you're compromising on are more important to you, then are these things you really want, or are they really worth it? This is the first sign to look out for. The second sign is that you have the Monday scaries. So this is basically when on Sunday night, you're already panicking about going into the office, going into work, being around your colleagues on Monday. Maybe it's not really a nice environment. Maybe you're just hating your life. That's a really, really big red flag. And that's not to say you need to be springing out of bed every Monday morning with a spring in your step and so excited to go into work. But if you're feeling anxious about it, then that is not something to ignore. The third sign is that you feel it is mindless, repetitive, and you feel completely uninspired. You're not feeling challenged. I certainly felt this in my corporate job, and I know a lot of people who work in corporate feel this too, where you kind of get put in a box and you're just expected to stay there. You're not really challenged. Your personal development is not stretched, and you just kind of feel like you're wasting away. Honestly, that's how I felt. I felt like I was made for so much more, and I was just wasting away in kind of mindless work that wasn't challenging me, and I was just simply not growing. Another red flag. Number 4, big one, you're burnt out. You're burnt out and exhausted. What is the point in working 8, 9, 10-hour days to then go and enjoy a meal with your loved ones or your family, and you're not even present, right? You're completely spaced out. Your mind's racing. You're still unwinding from the day that's just gone by. To me personally, that's not something worth compromising. And that's a big red flag that what I'm doing is taking way more energy from me than it's giving me, right? It doesn't always have to be this perfect exchange either. I get it. We need jobs. We need to work. But over a long period of time, if you are progressively getting more burnt out, more exhausted, the situation is not changing. It's not just a seasonal thing, right? Where you're busy. It's like a 24/7 expectation. That's a red flag. And by the way, this comes down to whatever life you want to live. If you are flying solo and you have big career goals and you don't really have many other priorities, maybe that is something that's going to work for you. That's why only some of these signs may relate to you and others won't. So take this with a grain of salt for your own personal reality. 5, simple one. You've already thought about quitting. This is not the first time. If you've clicked on this video as well, it's probably a thought that's been mulling for quite some time. And that's what I like to think about as your intuition, right? When you think about things over and over and you ignore that inner voice, that inner gut feeling, it just gets louder. It doesn't go away, I promise you. So if you've already thought about quitting, that's another red flag.
If you're not yet taking collagen, you might be missing out on one of the simplest ways to support your hair, skin, and joints. I recently learned that by the time you hit your 20s, your body starts producing less collagen every single year. That's why experts swear by supplementing it. So a few months ago, I started using one I actually trust. The product is called Collagen Beauty by NUTRAORGANICS. And honestly, I have noticed a very big difference in my skin and hair health already. And I'm not alone. A recent consumer trial of the Collagen Beauty product saw 9 out of 10 women see significant improvements to their skin in just 8 weeks. What I love most about it is that it's made from whole food ingredients, including a premium blend of collagen peptides, whole food zinc, silica, and actually 100% of your daily recommended vitamin C intake. It's so easy to add into my morning routine. I just pop a scoop either in my overnight oats or my smoothie and I'm good to go. Lately, I've been obsessed with the vanilla flavor in my overnight oats, but they also have an unflavored option if you're going for something a bit more neutral. So if you're looking for a way to support your overall skin health, hydration, elasticity, and overall glow, this is it. And a little bonus for my mamas or mamas to be like me, Collagen Beauty is pregnancy, breastfeeding, and postpartum friendly. The team have kindly given us a code for 15% off. So head to nutraorganics.com.au, or you can hit the link in the show notes and use the code The Balance Theory at checkout. And by the way, they do ship internationally. So no matter where you're listening from, you'll be able to use the code and try the products for yourself. Let's get back into today's episode.
Number 6, I've included this one because I can guarantee that for most of you listening, I can pretty confidently say that your health and your relationships are important to you. And so if you're working somewhere where there is no chance of those things being nurtured and you have to be 158 million% in the job and forget about yourself as an individual, to me, that's not having balance in my life. And that is certainly not a life I want to create. And like I said before, this is not a situation where it could be seasonal. You know, Christmas time, busy. End of financial year, busy. But when this is a 24/7 expectation and you get no break, you get no time to look after yourself and nurture your relationships, to me, that's a huge red flag. And it really aligns with my idea on how I like to structure my life around the things that are important to me. So that's why I've included this one as a red flag. And the 7th sign, I kind of flagged this before, is that you know you're made for more. It's kind of linked to that 3rd one where you feel like you're boxed in, right? But if you have this just inner knowing you're meant for more, you're meant to do more things, then that's true. You are meant for more. You're meant for more than your current situation, and it is a sign that it's time to go. So what now? Do you go and hand in your resignation letter tomorrow? Probably not, right? There are a lot of practical things we need to think about when it comes to making such a big change, like quitting our job and doing something else. I wish I could tell you, go and quit and you work it out. Like you will, but I'm a very practical person and I'm not a huge risk taker. So if you're like me, there are a few practical things you can do to actually workshop this process and prepare and plan for it in a way that is considered. So there are 6 quick things you can do to kind of plan for this. The first one is assess your financial runway. Have you got savings? Have you got a buffer? You know, a quick way you can do this is say, okay, what is my current salary? Because that's probably covering all your expenses as you have them right now. And how many months of savings have you got? If the answer is none, then you probably want to build out a little bit of a buffer just to give yourself that time to make any necessary adjustments. Some people say you need 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. I think it's whatever makes you feel comfortable, especially if you're going to go into another salary-based job, then maybe it doesn't have to be as long, right? Because having a salary means you're going to have that stable income. But if you're going to start a business or you're going to be doing consulting, something a little bit more unpredictable that's not going to have that guaranteed monthly income, then maybe you want a little bit more of a financial runway. The second one could be interesting, exploring internal solutions first. This might be relevant for where you work. It may not be. But is it a case that you're just in the wrong team and maybe there's opportunity for you laterally in other teams, in other aspects of the business? Is this a conversation you can have? You know, I'm really not happy in my role. Is there other things that you might be interested in? Explore that as well, because that could be an easy way to make a shift without having to resign and find a new job and start all over again, right? It might just be something worth thinking about. Number 3, if you decide that it is time to go, you need to kind of strategize and plan your exit. So updating your resume, updating your LinkedIn, getting in touch with some recruiters, understanding the current state of the market, talking to other people in roles that you might want. You know, maybe you've been out of the looking for a new job game for a while. So you need to re-plug in and kind of plan the exit and obviously update a lot of things that you may not have updated, i.e. resume, cover letter, that are going to be useful to moving on. Number 4 is set a deadline. Now, taking impulse actions, probably not great. But also staying somewhere toxic indefinitely is not great either. So give yourself a buffer. Like, okay, within the next 3 to 6 months, I want to have found a plan B, a different job, another situation, so that you have a timeline that you're working with. And you'll be very surprised what actually putting a deadline on things like this means. Take it with a grain of salt, obviously, because it might depend on market conditions and on opportunities. But if you do have a little bit of time, you can wait for the right thing and actually start being really proactive, knowing you're working within a certain time frame. I think also mentally it helps you cope, especially if you're like dragging your feet every single day. You know that you're working towards an end date. The fifth one is consider alternative income streams. So sometimes leaving or staying is really like a financial decision, and I completely get that. But maybe if you had different financial income streams, that might be something that takes the pressure off. That means you can change your job without the stress of money, right? So whether that's through investments, side hustles, other businesses, online products, like you can literally Google on YouTube how to make money through side passions and find anything that you're interested in. And we live in a world where we have internet and we have access to creating, right, in different ways. So that could be something you think about if finances are kind of like a big sticking point for you and your decision. And the sixth one is identify what you actually want from a job. So there is no use, I promise, running out of one bad situation and into another, because it's only a matter of time where you're literally back at square one in the same situation that you didn't like before. So working out what's not working in this job and what you might actually prefer or want in a job is key for you to actually make sure you're not just moving from square one back to square one, right? That's the worst thing that could happen. So take the time to actually map this out. And on this note, I actually have an amazing interview with a really good friend of mine. She's also a senior lawyer. And we literally spoke about this exact point about having more confidence in the workplace, how to ask for a pay rise, how to know when it's time to leave, what to look for in a new job, how to present yourself in interviews. So this was a really popular video for many obvious reasons. It was super practical. So the link to that is now in the show notes. It's on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. I highly recommend checking that one out if any of these points have stuck with you, because that's also some further practical suggestions on how you can actually take action on this. But there you have it, the 7 undeniable signs it's time to quit your job. Of course, don't run and make any rush decisions. There are practical things you might need to think about, but your happiness is worth something. Your daily enjoyment, your personal growth and fulfillment. Don't ignore it when you know those things are not being met, when you're not able to live the life you want. This is your life, and it is your responsibility to take charge of it and make it work for you, to create a reality that works for you. And I'm a big believer that if you want something, you can create it for yourself. So if you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content. That's it from me, guys. I'll see you all in the next video. Until then, stay balanced.